I won an Olympic medal in boxing. If you don't believe us, look right here. And on this video, I'm going to show you some of the skills and drills that I used to get one of these framed on my wall. So if you're looking to go to the Olympics, or if you're just looking to be better boxer in the gym, this video is definitely going to help you. Now, let me put this over here. Now, if you notice, at the bottom of this video, I filled it full of great content that's going to help you get better at boxing. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is avoid dropping your hands. If you drop your hands, you're going to get hit in the head. I was in this bad habit for years, and I managed to get out of it by doing this right here. So the first thing you've got to do is realize that you're making this mistake. I didn't realize I was doing this until I started working with Tommy Brooks when I turned professional here in Los Angeles. And he was telling me, Tony, keep your hand up, keep your hand up. And it took me 6 months to go from here to here. Yeah. To move this up 3 or 4 inches. And this was probably my worst habit that I got into over all my years of boxing. I would throw a jab and bring it back down to here. Throw a jab, bring it back down to here, which kind of left me open for a right over the top. And sometimes I got caught with that right over the top. And there was a couple of times I actually got hurt with a right hand over the top. And that was because I was bringing this down here. And with Tommy, he used to drill it into me all the time. Tony, keep your hand up. Tony, keep your hand up. Tony, keep your hand up. And that there really helped me keep my hand up, being reminded about it all the time. But you might not have someone there to remind you of your mistakes. So these 3 tips right here will help you get out of any of the bad habits you've got with dropping your hands. So tip number 1 is record yourself. Record yourself boxing on the heavy bags and look for this mistake. Just focus on looking for this bad habit of dropping your hand. And a common mistake that I'll see is when people are throwing a jab, their right hand will drop like this. And what we call that is firing a bow and arrow, where you'll see people and they'll pull it back like they're firing a bow and arrow, then bringing it back here. So don't do that. So yes, get out your phone and record yourself boxing on a heavy bag, and that's really going to help you know exactly what mistake you're making. And when you know what mistake you're making, guess what? It's going to be better to improve that mistake. And tip number 2 is get a glove and put the glove by your face and hold it with your right hand. And it'll look like this. So I'm there. Now, that mistake that I just showed you with the bow and arrow, it's impossible to make that mistake. Now I'm just going to work on my left hand here and not dropping this hand, because if I drop this hand in the slightest, this happens and then you know you've dropped your hand. So that's getting out of the habit of dropping that hand with the punch. Get a glove up there, that'll really help. Now tip number 3 is probably the best tip of them all, and that is think about it. Now you've watched your mistakes by recording it. You've worked with the glove up by your face. Now think about it. When you're thinking about these mistakes, that's how you're going to get out of the habit. Constantly thinking about not dropping your hand. Constantly thinking about bringing your hands back to your face. Your non-punching hand should be by your face at all times. No matter what punch you're throwing, the non-punching hand should always be by the face. Now think about that next time you're on a bag. Drill it in your head. Hear my voice. Hear Tony telling you that non-punching hand's by your face. That non-punching hand by your face. Keep your hands up. When you hear my voice, like I heard Tommy Brooks' voice, that right there is going to help you get out of the bad habits of dropping your hands. Now I'm going to tell you about this old school method that I don't really recommend, but you'll have seen lots of old school boxers doing this. But guys, before I do, quick reminder, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Turn on the notifications. And if you're already subscribed, you can do me a favor by hitting that thumbs up button. It'll really help the channel and really help me keep creating this sort of content for you. So what is this old school habit that I'm talking about? Well, it is touching your nose. Now you might be thinking, touching your nose? Why would you want to touch your nose? Now when I do it, you might recognize it, or you might have seen it before, where it's this. You see fighters to get into a habit of touching the nose. Yeah? Now that might help you keep your hands up because you're always getting into a habit of touching your nose. But if I'm in the ring with someone like that, I'm going to wait for them to touch the nose and then blast them with them 2 punches. Because I know when they touch the nose, they're relaxed. And that's kind of a timer, a trigger point for me. They touch the nose, bam! Throw them punches and catch them off guard. Being punched in the face is scary, right? Who wouldn't want to be scared of getting punched in the face? But if you're going to have success in boxing, you can't have that fear. Let's talk about it. First off, I just want to say, if you are afraid of being punched in the face, it's probably a good thing. I mean, if you weren't afraid and you've never been punched in the face before, you've probably got a little screw loose. It is scary, no matter who you are, getting punched in the face at the fight, especially for the first time, or if you've been sparring for quite a bit now, or you've been fighting and you're still really scared of getting punched in the face, you know, it can be a good thing. Also, being afraid of being punched in the face has got some big benefits to it. Like, for example, if you're thinking about your defense because you're afraid of getting hit, you are going to be a lot harder to hit because, you know, you're thinking about it all the time. But the time when this comes as a big problem is when you're fighting negatively, where you're just trying to survive and you're just trying not to get hit because you're so afraid and you're not coming back with your counter punches. But these drills is really going to help with that. They're really going to help with you dealing with this fear that you might have. And it is a pretty common problem. I don't have a fear of being punched in the face. I've been punched in the face thousands of times. But what I do have a fear of now is getting hurt. And if you've ever been punched in the face, when you get hurt, where your legs might go like jelly, you might be knocked out, you might have been concussed. But like I said, I use this as my advantage because I'm scared of getting knocked out, getting hurt. So I'm using that as my advantage. I'm using that as working on defense, being away from his big right hand, his knockout punch. And because I'm aware of that, now he's got way less chance of hitting us. So let's get into these drills. So the first one, where we did at the beginning, is where he's throwing the punches. He's coming a couple of inches from my face. Now, this right here is great for a couple of reasons. Now, if you think, I know he's not going to hit us, but they're coming very close. It's still pretty scary. People who are afraid of being punched tend to close their eyes. And I've done a full video on how to keep your eyes open in the ring. You should watch that one after this one. But yeah, people tend to close their eyes and move away and get really frightened. This is helping condition my brain for that, helping condition my brain for seeing punches coming and keeping my eyes open while he's throwing them punching. And as well, it's helping me see his punches coming, helping us read his punches. And now if I can start reading his punches, it's way less chance that he's going to land any punches throughout the fight or the sport or whatever we're doing. So tip number 2, he's going to throw a combination at my head. I know what combination he's going to throw, so now I can block it. Now I get used to blocking this combination here. So he's going to throw a 1-2 hook. So slowly, I'm going to parry. I'm going to block into that one, then I'm going to block that one. So again, bah, bah, bah. Faster. Again. Now we do it full speed, as if we were in a fight. Let's go. Now that right there is one example, but it's great. He's throwing full speed, like probably 70% power punches at me. Now I've got to block them, and because I know what's coming and I know exactly how I'm going to defend them punches, well, this here gets me used to him throwing punches. Helps me see them, helps me defend them. And when he's throwing punches at this speed, at this force, it's really good for me reactions, but as well keeping my eyes open, which is ultimately going to prevent me from being afraid of getting punched because I know what he's going to come. I'm working on drilling defensive moves. It's going to give us more confidence when I get in the ring, and that's what it's all about. And tip number 3, we call this one 3-to-3. Coach James Doyle has told me all about this one, and we've been doing it, and it's a great drill where we're going to start off throwing 3 punches each. This is at 50% speed and 50% power, and when you get used to it, you can obviously pick the speed up and pick the power up. It's open, so it's any punches aiming for the head and the body. I highly recommend you wear a mouthpiece if you're doing this. So it's just like a sparring session, but throwing 3 punches each. I'll throw the first 3. He's got to try and defend them. Then he's going to throw 3 at me. I had to land that little sneaky one there. But yeah, you see the point of that. And then you would pick it up, you go faster, you go a little bit harder. But guys, make sure you've got a mouthpiece in for this because it can be very dangerous. Again, when you're sparring light, you're learning. And that's what we want to do. We want to learn. We want to get better. You get some guys who come in and try and knock you out, try and whack you as hard as you can. That's not always good. Light sparring, technique sparring, working on different drills and themes like we've just did there, where we did 3 punches. You can also do 1 punch each. You can also do things like where all he's going to do is counter punch for a round. The next round I'm just going to counter punch. All these different themes and drills is great for this, and getting you used to punches coming at you to get rid of that fear. Actually, when you do get punched in the face, you kind of do get used to it. Right now, if there's a guy in front of me who's never been punched in the face before and I do this to him, punch him that hard, it's gonna hurt. He's gonna get a shock because he's never been punched in the face before. You do that to me, I'll be fine because I'm used to it. I do that at James, he'll be fine because we're used to it. If this is brand new to you and you've then not been punched in the face before and it's like, oh, you're getting shocks all the time, it's natural. You do get used to it, even though I don't recommend getting punched in the face. It's stupid. The best fighters out there, hit and don't be hit. That's the name of the game. So guys, I've got this great drill for you that's going to help work on your reactions. This was a drill that I used in the Olympics. We've done this training for the Olympics all the time. By far the best drill I think that you can do for your reactions and your footwork. Okay, Mr. Doyle, let's show them this drill. So what this drill is, we're going to have our hands down, we're in front of each other. The name of the game is to try and touch the other person's shoulder. We're not throwing punches here, we're touching. It's like a game of tag. And the only way that he can defend and the only way I can defend is by moving my feet or using reactions like this. So we're going to give you a little demo here, then after I'm going to give you some tips when you're doing this to have success. Let's go. Ooh. Yeah, and as you're seeing there, that gets your heart rate going fast. It's also a lot of fun. And one thing you can do to have success when you're doing that, the advantage over your partner, is use feints. If I'm standing here like this with James and he's throwing punches, and I'm just here, it's easy to hit. But as soon as I start moving like this in front, it makes it a lot harder to hit. If your chin's up, you're going to get hit and hurt. Here's some drills to keep your chin down. Firstly, why is it so bad to have your chin up in the air? You might be thinking, well, Tony, you looked okay when you were shadowboxing there, but look, if my chin's up, I'm wide open there for the hook. I'm open there for the hook. If I throw this, you hear that sound? I'm open for the right hand over the top. If I throw this, look, I'm open there. But if I've got my chin down and my chin tucked like it should be here, and I throw a punch, look, I'm getting protected from my shoulder there. Protected from my shoulder there, so my chin can't be hit. Or it at least makes it a lot harder to hit the chin. Now, when you have got your chin down, it doesn't have to be so far down where you can't really see. It just needs to be far enough, like I said, to throw the punches and get them covered by your shoulders, no matter what punch you're throwing. So what is the method to doing this? What is the thing that you can do in training the very next time you go to the gym to help you improve this? And we're going to use a good old tennis ball, or you could use a glove, a t-shirt, you can use anything really. And can you guess what we're going to do with this? Maybe you can. Well, we're going to put this underneath your chin here. Now, that right there is helping me keep my chin down. It's keeping my chin tucked in the position it should be. And the second my chin raises, the ball drops on the floor like that. So the ball goes under the chin like this, then you can shadowbox without the ball dropping. And that right there is going to help you get into the habits of keeping the chin down. Here are 4 great tips to punch harder in boxing. Tip number 1 is turn your hips and transfer your weight. If you're throwing the straight punch, the straight cross, you want to transfer the weight from here, from the center, to your front foot. When you do that, you're getting your full weight behind the punch. I'll see it often where people will not turn the hips, and the hips are still. That's not getting power into the punch. But with the cross, you're transferring the weight to your front foot. With the hook, you're transferring it to the back foot. It'll look like this. There's the cross. If you watch my feet, watch my weight, watch my hips, transferring the weight to the front foot. So if I threw the punch, the cross, and I held it out there, now I've got like 60% of the weight's on my front foot and 40% on the back foot. Now with the hook, like I said, I'm transferring the weight. This is going to be from the front foot to the back foot. It'll look like this. And again, if I threw that and I held it, that's the finished position there. The weight's on the back foot. This is really getting the body weight behind the punch. Tip number 2 is relax. Stay relaxed. I see it all the time, especially with big, strong guys. They'll come and they'll be 30 seconds later, they'll be exhausted. You've got to stay relaxed. If you're relaxing, you're going to get more speed. If you get more speed, you get more power. When you're relaxing, you relax your full body apart from your fists. And with your fists, this is another question I get. People will think that you've got to keep your fists relaxed just until you're about to impact, then do a tight fist and punch. And a lot of coaches say that. I disagree with that. The reason being is if I throw a punch with a relaxed fist, let's say his head moves into it, I'm going to hurt my hand. So you want to be here, relaxed. Tight fist, then punch. Relaxing your hands here, tight fist, then punch. So I'm relaxing my hands, I'm relaxing my shoulders, I'm relaxing my full body. Here, relax, relaxed. Tight fist, punch. Relax, relax. Yeah, exhaling with every single punch. So tip number 3, one of the best ways to instantly get maximum power behind your punch is get your body weight behind it. Now, I'm not talking about like I did with tip 1 with transferring the weight. This time I'm talking about stepping into the punch. If you step into the punch, as you're throwing it, you're getting the force of the step into the power. It'll look like this. And as well, I can do it with a hook. By stepping with the hook, I'm not only getting this transferred weight into it, I'm actually getting the force of the movement into it as well. So it'll look like this. And you can hear and you can see there that I'm getting tons of power into the punch. And tip number 4 is fully extend your straight punches. I'll see it often where people throw the straight punches. It might be a jab, it'll be here, or a cross, and it'll be here with the bent arm. Now, if you're standing in front of me and I've threw that cross, I've got the bent arm like that, you could probably push that and bend this in because it's not very strong. Or the jab like this, you can push this, it's not very strong. But if you stand in front of me now and you push that, good luck trying to bend that. You'll not be able to because this is solid. Same with the jab. This is solid, really, really strong. Now, if you think of you're trying to snap a pencil, if you bend the pencil in half, you can snap it easy. But if you try and push the pencil from end to end, the straight pencil, impossible to snap, right? Same with the arm. This is weak. This is strong. So fully extend on them straight punches like this. Now, right there with the 4 tips, turning your hips, relaxing, getting your body weight behind the punch, fully extending on the straight punches. Them there are 4 tips that I guarantee you will make you and help you punch harder. Do you want to improve your focus, your timing, your reactions, your head movement? Of course you do. Let's talk about it. This is a great reaction drill for boxing. I'm going to show you 3 different variations of this drill. The 3rd variation is definitely the best, so keep watching for the 3rd variation. So what we're going to do, Stephen's here with the cones. I'm going to move forward and he's going to be throwing the cones, aiming for my head, and it's on me to slip out of the way of the cones. Let's go. Yeah, okay, so that's variation 1. Variation 2, I'm going to move forward, he's still going to throw the cones, but this time rather than slipping, I'm going to punch them for defense. Variation 3, this is my favorite variation. This is where the trainer dictates where we're going, whether forwards or backwards. And this time we're punching and we're slipping. So it's everything combined into one. Let's go. This is an amazing drill, it's a lot of fun, great benefits from doing it. You want to know how to slip faster, right? Like me? Well, let's talk about that. Tip number 1 is move your head slightly. I see it often where people will be slipping out the way of punches and they'll slip and they'll come this far down. If I'm in this position right here, I'm off balance. I can't throw any counter punches. And if someone pushed me, I'd fall over. So when I say slightly, I mean just enough to get out the weight of a glove or a fist. If you think a glove is about 6 inches, a fist maybe 4 inches wide, that's all you've got to slip. You've got to slip just that much. And if you've got a line in between your feet, or visualize a line in between your feet, that line is where the punch is going to come right down. You've got one foot either side, thinking the punch is coming right down the line. Take your head off that line. Your head's off that line, and the punch will go straight past you. So you're here, small movements. And as well, if I slip here, I've slipped that jab, I'm putting the weight on the back foot and I'm loading up this next punch, which is a big cross. Slip here, load up the next punch, which is a hook. So them small slips, is not only going to get you out of the way faster, but also put you in a great position to throw a counter. I've got lots of videos on this channel about counter punching. Check them out as well. They will really help you. Tip number 2 is use a slip rope. All I've done here, I've tied a hand wrap around a heavy bag to the wall, and I've got this my head height because that's where the punch is going to be coming, straight to your head. So you want to get in your boxing stance here, and we're going to do a little slight step and a dip fast. And if you think the punch coming at you, you've just got straight out of the way of that. One thing to think about when you're doing this, you want to keep your hands up. I'll see it often where people will have their hands down and they'll be here. That is no use, because if you're down here, boom, and you get clipped, you're not protecting yourself. So hands up high. You always want to have them hands up on the slip rope. And a drill with this you can use moving forwards and back. Forwards and back. Keeping your head off there. You don't want to be coming under and getting in this position. You want to use them legs. Slide, slide, slide. And you want to, the faster you get at this, the better you're going to get at slipping out of the way of punches. Yeah, that's tip number 2. And tip number 3 is the most important of them all, and that is your reactions. Seeing the punch coming, reacting when someone throws a punch at you. If you get this down, I'm telling you, it's going to make you very hard to hit. So, how can you improve your reactions? There is so many different drills that you can do for this. I've got a full drills package that you can check out, the link below, where you'll see a ton of drills on reactions. But I'm going to give you a couple right now. Getting a tennis ball or a rubber bouncer ball like this, there's so many different drills that you can do with this to help improve your reactions. One of them is, you've got the ball out in front of you. All I'm going to do, I'm going to drop it with my left hand, and I'm going to catch it with my right as I throw the punch. Same with my right, I'll drop with my right, catch it with my left, keep dropping it. And this here is a drill that'll help improve your reactions. Another one is just getting on your toes, bouncing that ball, hands up. And you might be thinking, well, how is this helping me improve me slipping? Because it is helping your coordination, your hand, eye, and foot coordination, which is everything to help improve your reactions. And then what you can do, you can combine them two. So I'm bouncing the ball, I'll bounce with my right, I'll catch it with my left. Bounce with my left, catch it with my right, and throw some punches. Bouncing, 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 bounce, bounce, catch, punch. Like that. Yes, number 3 is reactions. Get better at reacting, and that will help you get better at reading punches that's coming straight for your face. You want to know how to pivot in boxing? Well, I'm going to show you right now. So the pivot, if you don't know what it is, I'm sure you've heard of that phrase. What is it? Well, the pivot is a defensive footwork move where you're changing the angle and defending at the same time. It can also be used as an offense as well. You can defend and counter with the pivot. And I'm going to go over all of that with you right now. This is what the pivot would look like. You're in your boxing stance, and I'll pivot it off. I've changed the angle. I'll show you again. When you're pivoting to your left, you're kind of bringing your back foot around to your left side, like this. And if you're an orthodox boxer, which means you're right-handed, that right there is the simplest way to do the pivot. So I'm here in my boxing stance. My front foot doesn't lift up off the ground. And I always remember my coach used to tell me, imagine that you've got a nail through your foot right there, and your foot can't move backwards or forwards or lift. All it can do is turn around. So that's what you can visualize. The foot got a nail through it into the floor, and when you've got that visualization there, it makes it a lot easier to pivot. Other analogies people like to use is if you're squishing a bug, you're turning your foot like that, or if you're putting a cigarette out and you're twisting and pressing into the floor. It's the same sort of thing. I'm going to show you from this angle. So I'm in my boxing stance. I'm going to squish that bug and then pivot. And I've changed the angle. Now I'm facing this way. So with this pivot, it is kind of like a 90-degree change of angle that you're doing. I'm facing forward, I'm facing this way. I've come around, now I'm facing this way. Now you might be thinking, when shall I use this in a fight? And one thing I like to visualize is if you've got a shorter opponent who's coming at you, kind of like a Mike Tyson style opponent, he's coming at you, it's great to pivot and let him go that way. Changing the angle, if he's flying forward, pivot, go that way.
And one thing that you need to do when you are doing this is keeping that lead hand up, because if he's coming forward, throwing a big right hand, and this hand's down, you're going to get clipped right there, and you don't want to get clipped, especially if you're fighting someone like Mike Tyson. Another thing, or your stance, where you should land. A couple of mistakes is, well, that was the first big mistake. People will have that hand down in the pivot. The other thing is where your feet land. When you are doing that pivot, your feet should land back in the perfect boxing stance. So I'm in the perfect boxing stance here, I've pivoted, I'm in the perfect boxing stance here. People will go too much and they'll come all the way around and the feet will be off balance, or they'll not go far enough, and now you're open and you're square and you're off balance again. Now, let's talk about countering as well, or throwing that punch as you're pivoting. I love doing this as a fighter. So we've got that smaller, shorter guy coming, little Mike Tyson. And now, as that foot moves, the left hook is going to come. Boom. So as he's coming, I'm doing that pivot, boom, and I'm throwing that punch. Now with this, it's important that the punch and the foot lands at the same time. So I'm going to make a sound, boom, when they both land. Boom. There, they land at the same time. Boom. They land at the same time. The reason why it's so important that they land at the same time is you're going to keep your balance. If you try and do it, it's going to be hard for me to do it, where that lands, then that lands, it kind of puts you off balance. It kind of slows down the rhythm. And as well, if you've done that, then it's harder to get the power behind the punch, or harder to come back with more punches. So try and make sure they land at the same time. There. Now that's the pivot hook. You're pivoting to your left if you're orthodox like me, right-handed. Now let's talk about pivoting to the right. I get asked, can you do this? When would you do this? This is a harder pivot to do, but it can definitely be done. It's the same sort of thing. If you've got that nail through your foot, that's squishing that bug, and you're going to pivot to the other way, right? You might be thinking, well, when would you ever do this? Because if someone's coming on, you kind of off balance it and you square, which you are, which it's not great to do that all the time. But where it is great to use this is if I'm fighting someone and I'm working inside, bam, I'm working inside, I've pivoted, I've changed that angle. So if he's on the ropes there, and I'm going and he's covering up, and I want to change that angle, you can pivot to your right there. Another thing I like to do with this, rather than the pivot, I kind of prefer the step, which is very similar, but your front foot leaves the floor. On the pivot, it doesn't leave the floor. On the step, it does leave the floor. Reason why I like this is because it helps with balance. So let's just see, I've through the 1, 2, I've stepped, that foot comes off the floor a tiny little bit for a split second, and I just feel more comfortable doing that. So I'll show you the pivot. I'll show you the step. So yeah, I much prefer this step on that. Like anything, it feels awkward at first. You need to practice. I would recommend that you practice pivoting to your left with the hook. You can do this in the mirror, in shadow boxing. You can do it on the heavy bags, on mitt work, in sparring. But first, try and practice it in the shadow boxing position to get comfortable doing it, to get used to doing it, and then add it into the other aspects of your training.
Good balance when throwing long combinations is key for success. Do this and this will really help you.
How do you keep your balance? Well, this comes down to one thing, which is good form. If you've got good form from the ground up, you will be able to keep your balance. First thing you need to do is slow it down. Slow the combination down. When you try to do it too fast, that's when you'll lose the balance, you'll lose the good form. If you slow it down and get the technique right, the chances are that your balance will be great. So I'm going to break a long combination down for you and how to keep good form and good balance. If I'm throwing a 1, 2, hook the head, hook the body. That's not that long of a combination, but I'm just going to break that down for you to show you. So if I throw 1, 2, I've got to shorten the right hand because I'm setting up the hook. So, but as well, if you look at my feet, 1, 2, there, I'm in the perfect position. I'm still good balanced here after that 2. I've got 60% of the weight on the front foot, 40% on the back foot. I'm in a solid position. Now if I throw that hook to the head, I'm going to drop that back heel, boom, front heel off the ground. Now I'm still in a good balanced position. Now from there, I can throw anything from the right side. It might be to the body, weights back on the front foot, still in that good position. Throw a hook to the body, hook to the body, hook to the head, look at the form. So that's it really. Breaking it down, slowing it down, working on the good form, working on the weight transfer. Then when you start building it up, it'll look like this. And as you can see, good form throughout, solid base. And that's what it's about, having that solid base. Again, I'm going to do it again. Watch the base, watch the hips. This is where the balance is. And that long combination right there, everything was done with good form, good power, good speed, which is the correct way to throw a long combination. We might see it often on social media where it'll be more of a pitter-patter. Like that. That there has not got any good form, no good power. It's got speed. So it's arm punching, not real boxing. If you're going to practice long combinations, make sure you practice them with that good form, that good technique, that strong base, that solid punching, and that's how you'll improve the balance.
The lead hook, wow. I knocked so many people out with this punch, and this is how I got power in that punch.
Tip number 1 is have a tight fist. You can be relaxed here, always be relaxed, but as soon as you throw that punch, tight fist, then throw the punch. If you throw a punch with a loose fist, your arm's not going to be as strong. And if you land a punch with a loose fist, you're going to get injured. So make sure you're relaxed. When you throw the punch, tight fist, then punch. Tip number 2 is stay relaxed. You need to be relaxed all the time. I'd see it often where people will throw that hook and they'll be all tensed up. They'll be holding their breath and they'll be going for it. But with that, you're not going to get as much power in the punch as you can get. And as well, 20 seconds of that, you're going to be exhausted and out of breath. So stay relaxed. Exhale when you throw that punch. When you exhale, you relax, you get more power and you reserve more energy. Now, tip number 3, the most important of them all, is by transferring your weight. Transfer your weight from your front foot to your back foot. Now to do this, you've got to make sure you get your weight on the front foot. And you can do that by doing one of two things. The first thing is you can slip. When you're slipping, you're putting your weight to your front foot. And the other thing is throw the cross. When you're throwing the cross, you can put your weight on your front foot and get your back heel off the ground. And that's the position you want to be in, with the back heel off the ground. So I'll show you. I've slipped. Back heel's off the ground, 60% of the weight's on the front foot. All I'm going to do is put that back heel on the ground, lift the front heel off the ground, transfer the weight from the front foot to the back foot, like this. If I don't transfer my weight, I'm not getting maximum power in. But when I do transfer my weight, you can see and hear just there the power that I get in.
Now you know how to get power in the lead hook. Let's talk about how to land that lead hook.
My goal with this is to get him to drop his hands here, leaving him open at the side of the head for that left hook. So how am I going to get him to drop his hands? By hitting him here in the midsection. Now it doesn't have to be really hard punches here. It's just got to be enough to get him to bring them hands in. As soon as he brings them hands in, boom, over the top. Now if you try and punch this way, the glove's too wide. You're going to struggle to fit through there. So I like to keep the gloves parallel, punching inside like this, and then over the top. So on the bag, I'll show you. So I'm inside, boom, over the top when he drops them hands. Now a little bit faster. And then you throw as many punches as you can until he drops them hands. Normally it'll be 1 or 2, but if you need to throw more, throw more. Keep throwing them, and if it's that speed, it's going to be hard for him to defend. So throw them fast, as soon as they drop, boom, over the top. Again. Over the top. Now I'll show you 2 punches. So I'm inside, 2 punches, then over the top. Now I want you to watch how I get the power in that hook. Watch my feet this time. I'll show you slow motion. So I'm here, the back heel's off the ground, boom, drop the back heel, transfer that body weight, really gets the power into the punch, and you can really bomb this punch in. I've knocked out a few people with this punch. Again, more speed. Watch the feet, watch the hips. 2 punches downstairs now. Yeah, great combination.
Without my great jab in boxing, I would never have won that. Here's how I perfected my jab to have success in boxing.
Firstly, why is the jab the most important punch in boxing? Well, the jab gets you into range. It's a great range finder to throw your other punches and get you out of distance and get you out of danger. And as well, you can set up every single other punch that you can throw in boxing leading off with the jab. I had 106 fights in my career, and I would say the jab, as well as the left hook to the body, were my favourite punches. I often knew within the first 40 seconds of a fight if the fight was going to be an easy fight or not. Because if I could land my jab, I knew that I would land just about any other punch that I wanted. So it was very important to me, and it should be very important to you, that you improve your jab. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. There's not just a secret formula, do this and you're going to have a great jab. No, you've got to practice, 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 practice all the time. I remember as a 14-year-old, all I would be doing, I would be practicing the jab in the gym. For rounds at a time, bam, working on that jab, working on that jab, working on that jab, getting the jab as perfect as I could on the heavy bags, and then from there on to mitt work, then from there into sparring. So it's practice, 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 and not just practicing any jab. It's got to be perfect practice. Perfect practice, perfect practice, perfect practice makes perfect. And that's how I perfected the jab. Now I'm going to show you what perfect practice is. So we've got a few different types of jabs. We've got the speed jab, which just comes from here. And then we've got the power jab, where you step into it and get maximum power behind it, which looks like this. You can see the power there, that swings up and down. So you can practice both of them, the power jab and the speed jab. And I would spend rounds at a time just working on the jab. One thing which was a blessing in disguise when I was like 13 years old, I really hurt my right hand. So all I could do for a couple of weeks was throw my left hand. That helped improve my left hand so much, and I got so strong with throwing the jab and the hook as well. So with this, there's a few basic things for you to remember. One, you want to fully extend the jab, because when you fully extend the jab, that really is setting you up for the other punches. I'm here, fully extend. A common mistake we see with this is here, short jabs. With that, you're not really getting any power in it, and you're still in range. If you think this was an opponent, I'm still in range right here if he was to throw punches back. Long jab, I'm kind of out of range, and again, I can set up with any other punches with that. And with the speed jab, what you can do, it doesn't have to be from the face all the way out, all the way back. You can have it out a little bit, because this speed jab is great to frustrate their opponent. Keep him thinking. When you pop on that out all the time, it's keeping him thinking. It's making him wary of what other shots might come after that jab. So it's great to keep popping out. You can keep it out here, out of range. Now, with that being out there, it's only got to travel half the distance rather than from here all the way out. Now, if it's only traveling half the distance, obviously it's going to get there faster. And I've got another video on this YouTube channel, how to instantly punch faster, and I talk all about that on there, so check that one out. So that's one way how to throw the speed jab. Now the power jab, you want to step into it. When you're stepping into it, the force of the step is really going to increase the power in that punch. And think about this as well, the step and the punch lands at the exact same time. It'll look like this. And again. And as you can see, I'm getting lots of power in the punch. This is the most basic punch in boxing. Practice, practice, practice until you get comfortable doing it. So there's two great things you can work on. With the speed jab, keep it out a little bit. With the power jab, step and punch at the same time. The more you do this, the easier it's going to get. Like anything in life, the more you practice, the better you're going to become at it.
Now you're great at boxing, you want to get fitter. I created this video here, how to improve your cardio in boxing. Click here and watch this video next.